Welcome back to another architecture video. Today we're talking money. We're talking budgets, and that can be big and intimidating in terms of topics. But don't worry, we'll keep it light, we'll keep it easy, because there's only three numbers you need to know for literally any project. That's your hope number, your think number, and your walk number. These can apply to absolutely anything from something small like a bathroom renovation to a house addition to maybe you're building your dream house from scratch, which is a much bigger, complicated project, or maybe you're building something huge like a 50 unit residential tower. I don't know. Whatever it is, these three numbers will apply to your project and you should know them ahead of time. It's important that you think about these before you even get started because every project has these numbers and knowing them is important before you get started. So, number one, first up, we have your hope number. This is kind of what it sounds like. This is what you hope the project is going to come in at in terms of budget. So it's going to be the lowest of all these in terms of numbers. We'll give it $1 sign. So say you're building a brand new house as an example. You hope it's going to cost $500,000. Still not cheap, but that means everything went perfectly. Materials were on sale. You had a great contractor. There was no unforeseen problems. Everything just went perfectly. That's your target. But we live in the real world, and you need a think number. This is your second number, and this is going to be a little bit more expensive. We'll give it $2 signs because this one we're getting into sort of realistic territory, right? This is where you're giving your best guess for what things are actually going to cost. This is what you think the project is actually going to cost, and we're talking a little bit of contingency budget. Maybe you're planning for some unforeseen conditions, problems, materials get broken, a contractor walks off the job, or somebody's on strike. Things generally cost a little bit more than you anticipate. So in this case, again, say you're building your dream house. You hope it's going to cost $500,000, but guess what? You think it's actually going to cost $700,000. You're factoring in lawyers' fees and permit fees and taxes, things like that. All those little things that add up. This is kind of your best guess for what you think the project is actually going to cost. But speaking of living in a real world, you need your third number. This is your walk number. And this one might be the most important of the three. And because this is the biggest number, we'll give it $3 signs. And this is the number you need to know ahead of time because if you hit this number, you have to walk away. And like I said, every project has this number, whether it's a bathroom renovation or a new house, it doesn't matter. There's a point at where the cost is too much and the project's not worth it, or you just simply can't afford it. And there is that ceiling, and if you start to approach it, you got to stop for whatever reason. That number exists for every single project. So it's important to think of that ahead of time. So again, in this situation, say you're building a new house, you hope it's going to cost $500,000. You think, realistically, it's going to cost $700,000. But what if it costs like $1 million and you can't afford that? Maybe that's your walk number. You say, hey, if the contractor comes back, we give them the plans from the architect, we've spent a lot of time working on it, we know exactly what we want, they come back and they give us a price and say, hey, it's going to cost us $1 million to build this house, and you can't afford that, guess what? That's your walk number, and you need to know that ahead of time. Worst case scenario is you get halfway into a project or three-quarters into a project and you start to approach that number, your walk number, and you hadn't really thought about that ahead of time, or you didn't think you were going to get there necessarily, but you start to approach it and you realize things are getting pretty tight. You gotta, sell some stuff, or I don't know. This is when problems really start to arise, right? This is how people go bankrupt. They lose their homes. You have to sell it at a loss to somebody else, and it's a great deal for them. But then, you lose your life savings or something like that, and it's a scary place to be. So you don't want to hit your walk number, but that's why you need to know what it is. So, like I said, these three numbers apply to any project. And think about them before you start. Before you even talk to an architect, before you talk to a contractor. You're doing a bathroom renovation, as another example. You hope it's going to cost 10 grand. That'd be great. You think, it might be 15 grand. When you factor in, be some extra plumbing or some electrical, maybe the fixtures are more than you think. But then you think, hey, if this ends up costing like $25,000, that's your walk number. Maybe you save it for next year, right? You tell the contractor, you know what? I can't afford it this year. That's just too much. We can't take it on. We'll deal with that later. But that's why you have to know those numbers ahead of time. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. Like I said, these three numbers apply to literally any project. Try and come up with them before you start for whatever that is. But just, crunch your own numbers, look at your finances, and just have a realistic conversation with yourself, with your partner, with your family, whatever it may be. Try and come up with those numbers so that you're not sidetracked, you're not sidelined, sideswiped maybe is the word I'm looking for. You're not surprised when these numbers come in, and you at least have some kind of a reference point that you can judge these numbers by, right? So anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. I'm going to make lots of these in the future. Give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and feel free to subscribe because we're going to make lots more of these in the future. So we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.